When twin sisters Maya and Nia Bennett step into Riverside High, all they want is a peaceful start. Their father's funeral was 3 months ago, and their mother has already cried enough tears to last a lifetime. The girls promised her they'd stay invisible, stay safe, stay out of trouble. But their quiet confidence, the way they walk with shoulders back, eyes forward, draws the wrong kind of attention. A group of arrogant bullies led by Tyler Brennan thinks they've found easy targets. What Tyler and his crew don't know is that Maya and Nia were trained by their late father, Sergeant Marcus Bennett, a Marine who taught them how to fight, survive, and stand tall no matter what. When humiliation turns to violence, the twins decide enough is enough. What starts as a confrontation behind the gym erupts into a shocking revelation of strength, precision, and discipline. As the school watches in disbelief, the bullies realize too late they picked the wrong girls. What follows isn't just revenge. It's justice, sisterhood, and the story of two young women fighting not just for themselves, but for every kid who's ever been pushed too far. The Bennett twins arrived at Riverside High on a Tuesday morning in September, when the air still held summer's warmth but the leaves had begun their slow surrender to autumn. Maya pushed through the heavy front doors first, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her dark braids tied back in a tight bun. Nia followed 2 steps behind, quieter, her eyes scanning the hallway like she was mapping exits. Their mother had driven them that morning in silence. Before they got out of the car, she'd reached back and squeezed both their hands. "Please," she'd said, her voice raw from months of grief. "Just keep your heads down. I can't lose you too." Maya had nodded. Nia had looked away. Now, standing in the buzzing hallway filled with laughter and locker slams, Maya felt the weight of that promise settle over her shoulders. She glanced at her sister. Nia's jaw was set, her hands buried in the pockets of her jacket. They'd made a pact the night before. Stay invisible, stay quiet, graduate, and get out. The first few classes passed without incident. Maya sat in the back of her English class, taking notes in neat handwriting. Nia doodled in the margins of her math worksheet, her mind elsewhere. At lunch, they found an empty table near the windows and ate in silence, watching the organized chaos of the cafeteria unfold around them. That's when Tyler Brennan walked by. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of easy arrogance that came from never being told no. His friends trailed behind him like a pack. Rachel Duvall, with her sharp smile and sharper tongue. Connor Hayes, who laughed too loud at everything Tyler said. And Amber Lee, who filmed everything on her phone like life was a never-ending reality show. Tyler's eyes landed on the twins. He slowed. Grinned. Well, he said, loud enough for half the cafeteria to hear. "Fresh meat." Rachel snickered. Connor elbowed her. Maya kept eating her sandwich. Nia's fingers tightened around her water bottle. "Hey, I'm talking to you," Tyler said, leaning on their table. "You two got names, or should I just call you Thing 1 and Thing 2? Rachel burst out laughing. Amber's phone was already up, recording. Maya finally looked up. Her expression was calm, unreadable. "We're not interested." Tyler blinked, surprised. "Oh, she talks. What about you?" He turned to Nia. "You deaf or just dumb?" Nia's eyes flicked up. For a moment, Tyler saw something there, something cold and dangerous, but it passed so quickly he thought he'd imagined it. "Leave us alone," Maya said quietly. Tyler straightened, his grin widening. "Or what?" Maya didn't answer. She picked up her tray, nodded to Nia, and they walked away. The cafeteria buzzed with whispers. Tyler watched them go, already planning his next move. That night, the twins sat in their shared bedroom, the only sound the hum of the fan in the corner. Nia stared at the ceiling. Maya sat cross-legged on her bed, reading a book their father had given her, Times The Art of War *. "We should have said something," Nia muttered. "We did," Maya replied without looking up. "We told them to leave us alone. And you think that's gonna work?" Maya closed the book. "Dad said." "Dad's not here," Nia snapped. Then, quieter, "Sorry. I'm tired of running." Maya was quiet for a long moment. "We're not running. We're choosing our battles." Nia turned her head. "And if they don't leave us alone?" Maya met her sister's eyes. "Then we fight. But not yet. Not until they had to." They woke at 5 the next morning, like they had every morning since they were 10 years old. They stretched in silence, ran through the drills their father had taught them: push-ups, sit-ups, shadowboxing. Their mother thought they did it to stay in shape. The truth was, it was the only thing that kept them sane. When they finished, sweating and breathless, Maya looked at Nia. "One more time, we stay out of trouble." Nia nodded. But in her eyes, Maya saw the same thing she felt. A storm gathering, waiting to break. By the end of the week, Tyler Brennan had decided the Bennett twins were his new favorite project. It started small shoulder bumps in the hallway, whispered insults just loud enough to hear. Rachel would accidentally step on Nia's backpack. Connor would block Maya's path to class, grinning like it was all a joke. Maya kept her promise. She walked away every time. Nia followed, but her fists clenched tighter with each passing day. On Friday, Tyler escalated. The twins were at their lockers between classes when Tyler and his crew appeared. Rachel leaned against the locker next to Maya's, inspecting her nails. "So," Rachel said, "where are you two even from? You don't exactly fit in around here." Maya didn't look at her. "We're from here. Just transferred from Lincoln." "Lincoln? That's on the south side, right?" Rachel's smile sharpened. "Makes sense." Nia's head snapped up. "What's that supposed to mean?" Rachel shrugged. "Nothing. Just noticing things." Tyler laughed. "Relax. She's just saying you two stand out. It's not a bad thing." His tone said otherwise. Maya closed her locker. "We're going to class." Sure, Tyler said, stepping aside with exaggerated politeness. "Don't let us keep you." As the twins walked away, Amber's phone was pointed at their backs. Connor whispered something to Tyler, and they all laughed. In history class, Maya tried to focus on the lecture about World War II, but her mind kept drifting. She thought about her father, about the stories he used to tell, how he'd been deployed to places where respect was earned through strength, where silence was sometimes the smartest move. "Never throw the first punch," he'd told them once, after a training session in their backyard. "But if someone throws one at you, make sure you throw the last." At lunch, the twins ate outside, away from the cafeteria. They sat under a tree, the autumn breeze cool against their skin. Nia pulled her knees to her chest. "How long are we supposed to take this?" she asked. Maya chewed her sandwich slowly. "Until it stops. And if it doesn't?" Maya looked at her sister. "Then we handle it. Like Dad taught us?" "Exactly like Dad taught us." Nia smiled for the first time all week. "Good. Because I'm getting real tired of playing nice." That afternoon, as the twins walked home, they passed the football field where Tyler and his friends were hanging out. Tyler called out to them, something crude and ugly. Maya didn't turn around. But Nia did. For just a second, she locked eyes with Tyler. And in that second, he saw something that made his stomach twist, a cold, predatory focus. Then she turned and kept walking. Connor nudged Tyler. "Dude, did you see that?" Tyler laughed it off. "See what?" "She's just trying to act tough." But Rachel didn't laugh. She'd seen it too. That night, the twins trained harder than usual. Their mother watched from the kitchen window, her heart aching. She knew that looked, the same look Marcus used to get before a deployment, when he was preparing for something inevitable. She wanted to tell them to stop, to just ignore the bullies, to be kids. But she also knew her daughters. They were Marcus's children. And Marcus had taught them that sometimes, the only way to earn peace was to be ready for war. When they finished, Maya and Nia sat on the back porch, their breath visible in the cool evening air. "One more week," Maya said. "If they leave us alone, we leave them alone." Nia nodded. "And if they don't?" Maya's jaw tightened. "Then we remind them who we are." Monday arrived like a storm cloud. The twins felt at the moment they walked through the school doors something was different. Tyler and his crew were waiting near the main staircase, whispering and glancing in their direction. Amber's phone was already out. Maya and Nia exchanged a look. They'd been through worse than high school bullies. But something about today felt deliberate. First period passed without incident. Second period too. By lunch, the twins had almost convinced themselves they'd been paranoid. They were wrong. The cafeteria was packed, the usual chaos of trays, clattering, and voices overlapping. Maya and Nia grabbed their food and headed toward their usual table by the windows. They didn't see Tyler coming. He walked past them, moving fast, and accidentally bumped into Nia. Her tray flew out of her hands, spaghetti and sauce exploding across her shirt and jeans. The cafeteria went silent. Then the laughter started. Rachel's voice cut through the noise. "Oh my God, that's so embarrassing." Connor was doubled over, wheezing. Amber's phone captured every second. Nia stood frozen, sauce dripping down her clothes. Her face was blank, but Maya could see her sister's hands trembling. Tyler held up his hands in mock innocence. "Whoa, my bad. Didn't see you there." More laughter. Someone started a slow clap. Within seconds, half the cafeteria had joined in. Maya's vision narrowed. She felt her father's voice in her head. Asterisk. "Stay calm. Control the situation. Don't let them see you break. Asterisk. She put a hand on Nia's shoulder. Let's go. But Nia didn't move. She was staring at Tyler, her chest rising and falling rapidly. Nia, Maya said quietly. Not here. Nia blinked. Nodded. Together, they walked out of the cafeteria, sauce-stained and humiliated, while the laughter followed them like a ghost. In the bathroom, Nia scrubbed at her shirt with paper towels, her movements sharp and angry. Maya leaned against the wall, arms crossed. We can't keep letting them do this, Nia said, her voice shaking. I know. Then why are we? Maya was quiet for a long moment. Because if we fight back, we prove them right. We become the angry, violent girls they want us to be. Nia threw the paper towels in the trash. I don't care what they think. Mom does. That stopped Nia cold. She turned to her sister, tears threatening to spill. She's not the one getting humiliated every day. Maya pushed off the wall and took Nia's hands. One more day. If they do anything else, anything we handle it. I promise. Nia nodded, but the promise felt fragile. That night, Nia cried in her bed, muffling the sound with her pillow. Maya lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her fists clenched so tight her nails cut into her palms. In the morning, they trained in silence. Their movements were sharper, faster, more aggressive. Their mother watched from the doorway, her heart breaking. Girls, she said softly. They stopped. Turned. If something's happening at school. It's fine, Mom, Maya said. It doesn't look fine. Nia wiped sweat from her forehead. We can handle it. Their mother studied them, these two girls who looked so much like their father, who carried his strength and his ghosts. She wanted to protect them. But she also knew that Marcus had raised them to protect themselves. Your father used to say something, she said. He said strength isn't just about fighting. It's about knowing when to fight. Maya met her mother's eyes. We know, Mom. And they did. They knew exactly when. The memory came to Maya in fragments, like old film reels spliced together. Her father's voice, the smell of cut grass, the weight of her first pair of boxing gloves. She'd been 10 years old. Nia had just gotten into her third fight that year, this time with a boy twice her size who'd been picking on a smaller kid. Marcus Bennett had picked up both his daughters from the principal's office in his dress uniform, still wearing his ribbons from a ceremony earlier that day. He didn't say anything on the drive home. When they pulled into the driveway, he told them to change into workout clothes and meet him in the backyard. Maya remembered the way her stomach had twisted. She thought they were in trouble. Instead, Marcus had set up a makeshift training area, punching bags hung from the oak tree, mats spread across the grass, jump ropes laid out in neat coils. If you're going to fight, he'd said, you're going to learn how to do it right. For the next 7 years, every morning before school and every evening after dinner, Marcus trained his daughters. He taught them discipline first, how to breathe, how to stay calm under pressure, how to read an opponent. Then he taught them technique, jabs, crosses, hooks, how to move, how to defend. But more than that, he taught them philosophy. Fighting isn't about being the strongest, he'd said one evening, after a particularly brutal sparring session. It's about being the smartest. It's about control. You control your emotions, you control your body, you control the situation. Nia had been nursing a bruised rib. What if someone's bigger than us? Marcus had smiled. Then you be faster. Smarter. Most people who start fights don't actually know how to fight. They're all aggression and no technique. You wait for them to make a mistake, and then you end it. End it how? Maya had asked. With mercy, Marcus said. You defend yourself, you stop the threat, but you don't destroy them. That's the difference between a fighter and a thug. The last training session had been 3 days before Marcus deployed for the final time. He'd gathered both girls, made them stand at attention. I don't know when I'll be back, he'd said. But I need you to promise me something. Promise me you'll never start a fight. But if someone brings one to you, if they threaten you or your sister or someone who can't defend themselves, you finish it. You finish it clean, you finish it fast, and you walk away. Understood? Yes, sir, they'd said in unison. Marcus had hugged them both. I'm proud of you. Both of you. You're stronger than you know. 2 months later, an IED took him from them. Now, lying in bed with the memory fresh in her mind, Maya turned to look at Nia's bed across the room. Her sister was awake too, staring at the ceiling. You thinking about him? Maya asked. Yeah. Me too. Nia sat up. What would he say about what happened today? Maya considered. He'd say we handled it right. We didn't escalate. We stayed in control. And if they keep pushing? Maya sat up too. Then we remember what he taught us. We don't start the fight. But if they bring it to us, we finish it, Nia completed. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their father's legacy settling around them like armor. Tomorrow, Maya said. If they try something tomorrow, we don't walk away. Nia nodded. Together? Always. They trained that night quietly, so their mother wouldn't hear. Shadowboxing, footwork drills, combinations their father had drilled into them until they became muscle memory. By the time they finished, they weren't just sisters anymore. They were soldiers, preparing for battle. And somewhere, in whatever place Marines go when they fall, Marcus Bennett was watching his daughters become exactly what he'd raised them to be. Warriors who fought with honor, who protected the weak, who never backed down from a just cause. Tomorrow, Tyler Brennan and his crew would learn that lesson the hard way. Tuesday morning, Tyler Brennan was in a good mood. The video of Nia covered in spaghetti sauce had gotten over 500 views on Amber's private story. People he didn't even know were sending him messages, laughing at the Bennett twins. At lunch, his crew gathered at their usual table, already planning the next move. "We should do something bigger," Rachel said, scrolling through the video on her phone. "This was good, but we need something that really breaks them." Connor leaned back in his chair. "What do you have in mind?" Rachel's smile was sharp. "We corner them. After school. Get them to cry on camera. That's content that'll blow up." Tyler considered it. The twins had been annoyingly calm through everything. It would feel good to finally crack that composure, to see fear in their eyes. "Where?" he asked. "Behind the gym," Amber suggested. "Nobody's there after school. We can take our time." Tyler nodded slowly. "All right. But we need to make sure they actually show up." Rachel grinned. "Leave that to me." At the end of sixth period, Rachel approached Nia at her locker. Her voice was syrupy sweet, the kind of fake niceness that set off every alarm bell. "Hey, Nia, right? Listen, I feel really bad about yesterday. Tyler can be such a jerk sometimes. I wanted to apologize properly. Can you and your sister meet me behind the gym after school? I have something for you guys, like a peace offering." Nia stared at her, expression unreadable. "Peace offering? Yeah. I feel terrible. Just give me 10 minutes of your time. Please?" Nia closed her locker. "I'll ask my sister." "Great," Rachel beamed. "See you at 3:30. When Nia told Maya about the encounter, Maya's jaw tightened. "It's a trap," Maya said immediately. "Obviously," Nia replied. "So what do we do?" Maya was quiet for a moment, thinking. They could avoid it entirely, go straight home, tell a teacher, do the right thing. But Tyler and his crew would just find another time, another place. The confrontation was inevitable. And Maya was tired of running. "We go," Maya said finally. "But we're ready." Nia's eyes lit up. "Ready how?" "We walk in knowing it's a fight. We stay calm, we stay controlled. If they throw the first punch, we throw the last one," Nia finished. They spent the rest of the day preparing mentally. In their last class, while the teacher droned on about polynomial equations, Maya and Nia sat in their own heads, running through scenarios. Their father had taught them to visualize combat, to see the moves before they happened, to anticipate reactions. When the final bell rang, students poured into the hallways, eager for freedom. Maya and Nia moved against the current, heading toward the gym. At their lockers, they stopped. Maya pulled out a hair tie and secured her braids into a tight bun the same way she used to before sparring with their father. Nia did the same, their movements synchronized, ritualistic. "You scared?" Nia asked. Maya smiled. "No. You? Not even a little." They walked toward the gym together, shoulders back, heads high. A few students noticed and whispered. Maya caught fragments. "Going to the gym. Tyler's waiting. This is going to be bad." Let them watch, Maya thought. Let them see what happens when you push someone too far. Behind the gym, Tyler and his crew were waiting. Rachel leaned against the brick wall, phone already out. Connor cracked his knuckles. Amber had her phone positioned for the perfect shot. 3 other kids from their group had joined, witnesses, cheerleaders, participants. When the Bennett twins rounded the corner, Tyler's grin widened. Well. They actually showed up. Maya and Nia stopped about 10 feet away. They didn't say anything, just stood there, assessing. Maya counted 7 opponents. She calculated angles, distances, weak points. "Where's our peace offering?" Nia asked, her voice flat. Rachel laughed. "Oh, honey. There's no peace offering. We just wanted to have a private conversation." "About what?" Maya asked. Tyler pushed off the wall, walking toward them slowly. "About respect. See, we run this school. And when new kids show up and act like they're too good for us, well, that's disrespectful. He was 5 feet away now. 4. 3. So here's what's going to happen, Tyler continued. You're going to apologize. On camera, you're going to admit you were wrong to ignore us, and then you're going to do whatever we say for the rest of the year. Sound fair? Maya and Nia exchanged a glance. In that single look, an entire conversation passed between them. Confirmation. Strategy, permission. Maya turned back to Tyler. No, Tyler blinked. What? No, Maya repeated. We're not apologizing. We're not doing what you say, we're done with this. Tyler's face darkened. You don't get to decide when you're done. Actually, Nia said, we do. Tyler stepped forward and shoved Maya hard in the shoulder. I said apologize. This was it. The line had been crossed. Maya didn't stumble. She didn't even flinch. She just looked at her sister. Nia, she said calmly. Yeah? Remember what Dad said? Nia smiled. Never start the fight. Maya smiled back. But always finish it. And then, everything changed. Tyler shoved Maya again, harder this time. What are you smiling about? Maya's smile didn't fade. She adjusted her stance, feet shoulder width apart, weight balanced, hands loose at her sides. To anyone watching, she looked relaxed. But Nia recognized the posture immediately. Combat ready. Last chance, Maya said quietly. Walk away. Tyler laughed. Or what? Rachel stepped closer, her phone capturing everything. This is going to be so good. Connor moved to flank them from the right. 2 other boys circled left. Amber stayed back, filming from the best angle. They had the twins surrounded. Tyler, Rachel called out, maybe we should just. Shut up, Rachel, Tyler snapped. He was done talking. He pulled his arm back, fist clenched, and swung at Maya's face. She moved. Not frantically. Not wildly. Maya shifted her weight, turned her head exactly 4 inches, and Tyler's punch sailed past her ear. Before he could recover, Maya's palm snapped forward and struck his solar plexus, not hard enough to cause real damage, but hard enough to knock the wind out of him. Tyler staggered back, gasping. For a moment, nobody moved. Everyone was too shocked. Then Connor rushed forward. You bye. He didn't finish the word. Nia stepped into his path, caught his arm mid-swing, and used his own momentum to flip him over her hip. Connor hit the ground hard, the impact knocking his head against the pavement. He groaned, dazed. Oh my God, Amber whispered, but she kept filming. Rachel dropped her phone. What the? The 2 boys who'd been circling left both charged at once. Maya and Nia didn't panic. They'd trained for multiple opponents. Marcus had drilled it into them. Stay close, protect each other, move as one unit. Maya took the first boy, a lanky kid named Derek, with a quick combination. Jab to the face to create distance, then a low kick to his lead leg that buckled his knee. As he fell, she controlled his descent with a hand on his shoulder, guiding him down rather than letting him crack his skull. Nia dealt with the second boy, a stocky wrestler named Jason, by ducking under his grab attempt and sweeping his legs. He went down hard, and Nia immediately transitioned to a control position, knee on his back, his arm twisted at an uncomfortable angle. Stay down, she said calmly. Don't make me hurt you. Jason, tears in his eyes from the arm lock, nodded frantically. 10 seconds had passed. Tyler had recovered his breath. He looked around at his friends on the ground, at the Bennett twins standing calm and controlled in the center of chaos, and something primal took over. He roared and charged forward, throwing wild punches. Maya didn't even look concerned. She slipped the first 3 punches, then caught his 4th attempt, redirecting it downward while simultaneously striking his exposed ribs with her free hand. Tyler crumpled. Stay down, Maya said, echoing her sister. But Tyler, pride wounded more than his body, tried to get up. Maya placed a foot on his chest, not pressing, just holding, and looked down at him. I said stay down. Rachel was backing away now, her confidence shattered. This is crazy. You're both crazy. Nia let Jason go and stood up. We're not crazy. We're just done being your victims. One of the other boys, a freshman who'd come along thinking he'd see an easy beatdown, started to run. Maya called out. You can leave. We're not stopping you. He ran. The last member of Tyler's crew, a girl named Stephanie who'd been standing frozen the whole time, held up her hands. I didn't do anything. I just came to watch. Then watch, Nia said. And remember what you saw. Maya removed her foot from Tyler's chest. He rolled onto his side, coughing. Connor was sitting up, holding his head. Derek was clutching his knee. Jason was massaging his shoulder. None of them looked like they wanted to continue. Amber, still filming, lowered her phone slowly. Her hands were shaking. "What are you?" she whispered. Maya and Nia looked at each other, then back at the group. "We're Marcus Bennett's daughters," Maya said. "And you just learned why that matters." The twins turned and walked away. Behind them, Tyler's crew remained on the ground, broken not just physically but psychologically. They'd come expecting easy prey and found apex predators instead. As Maya and Nia rounded the corner, they could hear voices rising: shock, disbelief, fear. By tomorrow, the whole school would know. The video would spread. The story would grow. But the Bennett twins didn't care about any of that. They'd done what their father taught them. Defended themselves with precision, controlled the situation, showed mercy to those who didn't deserve it. As they walked through the parking lot toward home, Nia finally let out a breath. "We're probably going to get expelled." Maya nodded. "Probably. Was it worth it?" Maya thought about every insult, every humiliation, every time they'd walked away with clenched fists and swallowed pride. She thought about her father's voice. Asterisk. "If they bring the fight to you, finish it." Asterisk. "Yeah," she said. It was worth it. They walked home in silence, the autumn sun warm on their faces, their braids still tight, their hands still steady. Somewhere above them, Marcus Bennett was smiling. The twins didn't run. After the confrontation, they walked straight to the main office and asked to speak with Principal Hendricks. The secretary, Mrs. Patterson, looked up from her computer with surprise. "Is everything all right?" she asked, noting their calm demeanor despite the dust on their clothes. "No," Maya said simply. "There was a fight behind the gym. We need to report it." Within 10 minutes, security officers were rushing toward the gym. Within 20, Tyler Brennan and his crew were being escorted to the nurse's office. Within 30, the entire school was buzzing with whispers and rapidly spreading phone footage. Principal Hendricks, a stern woman in her 50s who'd seen every kind of teenage drama, called Maya and Nia into her office. They sat across from her desk, hands folded in their laps, expressions neutral. "Tell me what happened," Hendricks said, her voice carefully controlled. Maya explained everything. The weeks of harassment, yesterday's humiliation in the cafeteria, today's trap behind the gym. She spoke without emotion, just facts. Nia occasionally added details Maya missed. Neither of them embellished or made excuses. When they finished, Hendricks was quiet for a long moment. "And you're saying Tyler Brennan threw the first punch?" "Yes, ma'am," Maya confirmed. "We tried to walk away multiple times. We asked them to leave us alone. We didn't engage until we were physically attacked." Hendricks studied them both. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" The twins exchanged a glance. "Our father," Nia said quietly. "He was a Marine. He taught us self-defense." "Your father? Is he?" "He died," Maya said. 7 months ago. Iraq." Hendricks's expression softened slightly. "I see. I'm very sorry for your loss." She leaned back in her chair. "I'm going to need to call your mother." "Yes, ma'am." An hour later, Diane Bennett walked into Principal Hendricks's office. She'd been in the middle of her shift at the hospital when she got the call, still wearing her scrubs. The moment she saw her daughters sitting in the office, her heart sank. "What happened?" she asked, her voice tight with worry. Hendricks explained the situation while Diane listened, her expression shifting from concern to confusion to something that might have been pride. When the principal finished, she turned to her daughters. "You fought," she said. "We defended ourselves," Maya corrected. Diane looked at them for a long moment, these two girls who looked so much like Marcus, who carried his training and his principles. She wanted to be angry. She wanted to lecture them about staying out of trouble, but she'd seen the video that was already circulating. She'd watched her daughters move with precision and control, defending themselves against 7 attackers without losing their composure. She'd also watched Tyler Brennan throw the first punch. "Principal Hendricks," Diane said, "what happens now?" "There will be an investigation," Hendricks replied. "The school board needs to review the footage, interview witnesses. Given the circumstances and the fact that your daughters reported the incident themselves rather than fleeing, I'm inclined to believe this was genuine self-defense. However, the school has a zero-tolerance policy on fighting. So, you're saying my daughters might be expelled for defending themselves against 7 attackers?" Diane's voice was steel now. "After weeks of documented harassment that your staff apparently missed?" Hendricks held up a hand. "I'm saying there's a process. But between you and me, Mrs. Bennett, if my daughters could fight like that, I'd be grateful they showed restraint." That evening, the Bennett home was quiet. Diane made dinner while the twins sat at the kitchen table, doing homework as if nothing had happened. But the tension was thick enough to cut. Finally, Diane set down her spatula and turned to them. Your father would have done the same thing. Maya looked up. You're not mad. Oh, I'm furious, Diane said. But not at you. I'm furious that you were put in a position where you had to fight. I'm furious that the school let it get that far. And I'm furious that I can't protect you from everything. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. But I'm also proud. You didn't start it. You gave them chances to stop. And when you had no choice, you handled it the way Marcus taught you, with control and discipline. Nia's eyes were watering. We promised you we'd stay out of trouble. And you tried, Diane said, pulling them both into a hug. Sometimes trouble finds you anyway. Your father understood that. That's why he trained you. They ate dinner together, talking about everything except the fight. But later, when the twins were in their room, they heard their mother on the phone in the living room. I don't care about your policy, she was saying, her voice firm. My daughters were attacked. 7-on-2. They defended themselves. If you expel them for that, I will have every news station in the city covering this story by morning. Maya and Nia looked at each other and smiled. Their mother was fighting for them in her own way. The next morning, when they walked into school, something had changed. Students parted in the hallways, giving them space. Some looked scared. Others looked impressed. A few nodded in respect. Tyler Brennan and his crew were nowhere to be seen. The school board meeting was scheduled for Thursday evening. Maya and Nia sat in the hallway outside the conference room, their mother between them, all three dressed in their best clothes. Diane had braided the girls' hair herself that morning, her fingers gentle and methodical. Inside the conference room, voices rose and fell, arguments, debates, accusations. Principal Hendricks had presented the evidence. Video footage from multiple angles, witness statements, the documented history of harassment that staff had failed to address. Tyler's parents were in there too. Mr. Brennan was a lawyer, and he'd come prepared with arguments about excessive force and dangerous behavior. Mrs. Brennan kept insisting her son was the real victim, that he'd been traumatized by the attack. Through the closed door, Maya could hear fragments. 7-against-2. Through the first punch. Those girls are dangerous. Your son has been bullying them for weeks. Nia's leg bounced nervously. Maya put a hand on her knee to still it. Whatever happens, Maya whispered, we did the right thing. Nia nodded, but she didn't look convinced. The door opened. A woman in a sharp suit, Mrs. Cardenas, the school board president, gestured for them to enter. The Bennett family walked in together, heads high. The conference room was large and impersonal, with fluorescent lights and a long table where 7 board members. Saturday, Tyler and his parents were on one side of the room. The twins and their mother took seats on the other. Mrs. Cardenas cleared her throat. Thank you for coming. We've reviewed all the evidence, and we have some questions. Maya, Nia, can you walk us through your training background? Maya spoke first. Our father was Sergeant Marcus Bennett, United States Marine Corps. He started training us in self-defense when we were 10 years old. He taught us discipline, control, and how to defend ourselves if necessary. And this training, one of the board members asked, it included what, exactly? Hand-to-hand combat, situational awareness, de-escalation techniques, Nia said. But mostly, he taught us restraint. He always said the best fight is the one you avoid. Mr. Brennan leaned forward. These girls are trained fighters. They should be charged with assault. My son and his friends required medical attention. Your son required an ice pack for his bruised ego, Principal Hendricks interrupted. The medical report shows minor contusions. Nothing serious. Meanwhile, these girls showed remarkable restraint given the circumstances. Restraint? Mrs. Brennan's voice was shrill. They attacked 7 children. 7 children who cornered them and struck first, Diane said, her voice calm but fierce. After weeks of harassment that your staff ignored. My daughters defended themselves. Period. The room fell silent. Mrs. Cardenas looked at the twins. Why didn't you report the bullying sooner? Maya met her eyes. Because we made a promise to our mother to stay out of trouble. We thought if we ignored it, it would stop. We were wrong. And when you realized it wouldn't stop, we tried to walk away, multiple times. We gave them every chance to leave us alone. Nia's voice was steady. But when someone throws a punch at you, you have 2 choices. Take the hit or defend yourself. Our father taught us never to take the hit. One of the board members, an older man with kind eyes, spoke up. I'd like to note something. I served in the military. 20 years, Army. And watching that footage, I recognized the techniques these young women used. Those are military-grade defensive tactics, applied with precision and control. If they'd wanted to seriously hurt those kids, they could have. But they didn't. They neutralized the threats and stopped. That's discipline. Another board member nodded. I agree. And frankly, I'm disturbed that this harassment went on for weeks without intervention from staff. Principal Hendricks shifted uncomfortably. We're implementing new protocols to ensure. That's not the point right now, Mrs. Cardenas said. The question is, what do we do about this situation? Mr. Brennan stood. Expel them. That's your policy. Zero tolerance for fighting. It's also our policy to protect students from harassment, Mrs. Cardenas countered. Which we clearly failed to do in this case. The board members conferred in whispers. 5 minutes passed. 10. Finally, Mrs. Cardenas straightened. Here's our decision. Maya and Nia Bennett will receive a 3-day suspension for their involvement in a physical altercation. However, given the circumstances documented harassment, self-defense, and the fact that they reported the incident themselves, this will not go on their permanent records. Relief flooded through Maya's chest. Mrs. Cardenas continued. Tyler Brennan and his associates will receive 2 weeks suspensions and mandatory counseling. When they return, any further harassment toward any student will result in expulsion. Additionally, they will issue a public apology. Mr. Brennan was on his feet. This is absurd. My son is the victim here. Your son organized an ambush, Mrs. Cardenas said coldly. 7 students against 2. He threw the first punch. The only reason he's not facing criminal charges is because the Bennett family hasn't pressed them yet. I suggest you accept this decision and teach your son about consequences. Tyler, who'd been slumped in his chair the whole time, looked up. His face was pale, his confidence shattered. He glanced at the twins, these 2 girls, who dismantled his crew in seconds, and quickly looked away. As the meeting ended, the veteran board member approached the twins. I knew your father, he said quietly. We served in the same theater for a while. Marcus Bennett was a good man and a hell of a Marine. He'd be proud of you girls. Maya's eyes stung. Thank you, sir. What you did took courage. Not the fighting any fool can throw a punch. But the restraint? The control? That's something special. Don't lose that. He shook their hands and walked away. Outside in the parking lot, Diane pulled her daughters close. 3 days off school. What do you say we go visit your father's grave tomorrow? Tell him what happened. The twins nodded. They had a lot to tell him. The suspension was strange, 3 days of freedom that felt more like exile. Maya and Nia spent the first day training in their backyard, working through the forms their father had taught them. Their mother watched from the kitchen window, her heart full of conflicting emotions. On the second day, they drove to Arlington National Cemetery. The drive was long and quiet, autumn leaves scattering across the highway. When they finally stood in front of Marcus Bennett's grave, the twins felt the weight of everything they'd been carrying since he died. Diane placed fresh flowers on the headstone. Maya and Nia stood at attention, military style, the way Marcus had taught them. Hey, Dad, Maya said softly. We got in some trouble at school. Nia smiled through tears. But you would have been proud. We did it exactly how you taught us. Diane wiped her eyes. They're just like you, Marcus. Strong and stubborn and so damn brave it scares me. They stayed for an hour, talking to him about everything, school, the fight, their fears, their hopes. When they finally left, something had shifted. The grief was still there, but it felt lighter somehow. Marcus was gone, but his legacy lived on in them. On the 3rd day of suspension, something unexpected happened. The doorbell rang around noon. Diane answered it to find a tall, nervous-looking boy on her doorstep. Tyler Brennan. Mrs. Bennett, he said, his voice cracking slightly. Can I talk to Maya and Nia? Please. Diane's eyes narrowed. Why? I need to apologize. For real. Not the school board version. Diane studied him for a long moment, then called for her daughters. They came to the door, surprise evident on their faces. I'll give you 5 minutes, Diane said, leaving the door open but stepping back to give them space. She remained within earshot. Tyler stood on the porch, hands in his pockets, looking smaller than he had at school. I'm sorry, he said. For everything. The bullying, the cafeteria thing, the everything. Maya crossed her arms. What made you change your mind? Tyler was quiet for a moment. My dad was really angry after the board meeting. He kept ranting about how you girls embarrassed me, how I need to be tougher. And my mom just kept crying. But then my little sister, she's in 8th grade, she said something that stuck with me. What did she say? Nia asked. She said she wished she could fight like you too. Because there's a boy at her school who keeps bothering her, and she's scared all the time. And I realized. I'm the person she's scared of. Not at her school, but I'm that type of person. The one who makes people afraid. He looked up at them, eyes red. I don't want to be that anymore. I don't know if you can forgive me, and I don't expect you to. But I needed you to know that I'm sorry. Really, genuinely sorry. The twins exchanged a look. In that silent conversation, they weighed everything: the weeks of harassment, the humiliation, the fight. But they also heard their father's voice. Mercy isn't weakness. It's the hardest kind of strength. We forgive you, Maya said. But forgiveness doesn't mean we forget. If you ever bully anyone again. I won't, Tyler said quickly. I swear. And if I see anyone else doing it, I'll stop them. That's my promise to you. Nia nodded. Good. Because your sister deserves to feel safe at school. Everyone does. Tyler wiped his eyes. Can I ask you something? That move you did, Maya, when I threw the punch. How did you do that? Maya smiled slightly. Years of practice. And a good teacher. Could you maybe? I mean, if you ever started teaching people. Could I learn? Not to bully people. He added quickly. But to protect my sister. So she doesn't have to be scared. The twins looked at each other again. An idea was forming, something their father would have liked. Maybe, Maya said. We'll think about it. After Tyler left, the twins sat with their mother at the kitchen table. That was unexpected, Diane said. He seemed genuine, Nia admitted. Maya nodded slowly. You know what Dad always said? The best way to stop a bully is to teach them why they shouldn't be one. What are you thinking? Diane asked, though she could see the plan forming in her daughter's eyes. What if we taught other kids? The ones who get bullied? Show them how to defend themselves? Diane was quiet for a long moment. Your father would love that. But you're still in high school yourselves. We could do it on weekends, Nia suggested. Maybe in our backyard at first. Just a few kids. Maya turned to her mother. Would that be okay? Diane looked at her daughters, these two girls who'd turned their pain into power, their training into purpose. Marcus had raised them to be more than fighters. He'd raised them to be protectors. On one condition, Diane said. You promise me you'll finish high school first. And no training anyone without my supervision until you're 18. Deal, the twins said in unison. When they returned to school on Monday, something had changed. The hallways still parted for them, but the fear in students' eyes had been replaced with something else: respect. Several kids nodded to them. A few even smiled. Tyler kept his distance, but when they passed each other in the hallway, he nodded respectfully. Rachel and the others avoided eye contact entirely. At lunch, something remarkable happened. A small, nervous freshman girl approached their table. Excuse me, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Are you Maya and Nia Bennett? That's us, Maya said. I saw the video. Of the fight. The girl clutched her books tighter. I was wondering. Do you think you could teach me? How to do that? There's this group of girls who keep taking my lunch money, and I'm tired of being scared. Nia smiled. What's your name? Claire. Claire Hoffman. Well, Claire, Maya said, we're not officially teaching yet. But give us your number. When we start, you'll be the first one we call. Claire's face lit up. Really? Thank you. As she walked away, the twins looked at each other. They'd thought the fight was the end of something. But maybe it was actually the beginning. 3 months later, the Bennett backyard had transformed. Diane had helped the twins set up a proper training area: mats spread across the grass, a heavy bag hanging from the oak tree, jump ropes and practice pads organized in a storage box. On Saturday mornings, a small group of students gathered there. Claire Hoffman was there, along with 7 other kid students who'd been bullied, who'd been scared, who wanted to learn how to stand up for themselves. Tyler Brennan showed up too, every week, working twice as hard as anyone else. Maya stood at the front of the group, her voice carrying the same authority their fathers once had. Self-defense isn't about violence. It's about confidence. When you know you can protect yourself, you carry yourself differently. Bullies can sense that. Nia demonstrated a basic wrist release. Most people who start fights don't actually know how to fight. They rely on intimidation. Once you break that, once you show them you're not afraid, most of them back down. Claire practiced the move with Tyler. It was strange watching them work together, former potential victim and former bully, but somehow it felt right. Tyler was patient, letting Claire practice the technique multiple times, encouraging her when she got frustrated. You're doing great, he told her. Seriously. When I first tried that move, it took me weeks. During water breaks, the students talked. Stories emerged about being pushed around, about having lunch money stolen, about being afraid to walk home. Maya and Nia listened, and in each story, they heard echoes of their own experience. The thing you all need to understand, Maya said during one session, is that standing up for yourself doesn't mean you have to fight. Most of the time, confidence is enough. When you stand tall, make eye contact, speak clearly. Bullies usually move on to easier targets. But what if they don't? Asked a small boy named Jeremy. What if they actually hit you? Nia crouched down to his level. Then you do exactly what we're teaching you. You defend yourself, you create space, and you get help. Fighting is always the last resort. Always. The sessions continued every Saturday. Word spread slowly through the school. More kids asked to join. Some parents called, skeptical at first, until they met Diane and heard about Marcus Bennett's military background and the twins' emphasis on discipline and restraint. By spring, they had 20 students. The backyard classes had become something bigger than anyone expected, a community of kids learning not just how to fight, but how to be strong. One afternoon, Principal Hendricks called the twins to her office. They walked in expecting trouble, but instead found her smiling. "I've been hearing interesting things," she said. "About your weekend training sessions." Maya tensed. "Are we not allowed?" "On the contrary," Hendricks interrupted. "I think it's remarkable. I wanted to ask if you'd be interested in starting an official after-school program here. Self-defense and conflict resolution. We could provide a space, maybe even get some funding." The twins looked at each other, stunned. "We're only juniors," Nia said. "We don't have any official credentials." "No," Hendricks agreed. "But you have something more valuable: real experience and a proven track record. I've seen the difference in the students you've been working with." Claire Hoffman walked up to her bullies last week and told them to back off. They did. That girl was terrified 3 months ago. Maya felt a swell of pride. "We'd have to talk to our mom." "Of course. But think about it. What you're doing, it's bigger than just teaching kids to punch. You're giving them their power back." That evening, the twins told their mother about the offer. Diane listened, her expression thoughtful. "Your father would be so proud," she said finally. "Not just of what you're doing, but of who you've become. You took something painful, the bullying, the fight, and turned it into something meaningful. So we can do it?" Nia asked. Diane smiled. "Under one condition. You keep your grades up." "Deal?" "Deal." The program launched in the fall of their senior year. The school provided space in the old wrestling room twice a week after school. Within a month, they had 40 students enrolled. Within 2 months, the local news came to do a story. The reporter interviewed Maya and Nia, asking them about their background, their training, their father. "What would you say to other kids who are being bullied?" the reporter asked. Maya thought for a moment. "I'd say that you're stronger than you think. Being bullied doesn't make you weak. How you respond to it defines your strength. Sometimes strength is walking away. Sometimes it's asking for help. And sometimes, when you have no other choice, it's standing up and defending yourself." Nia added. "But the most important thing is this. You're not alone. There are people who will stand with you, who will teach you, who will support you. You just have to be brave enough to reach out." The segment aired on a Tuesday evening. The twins watched it with their mother, all 3 of them on the couch, a bowl of popcorn between them. When it ended, Diane pulled her daughters close. "Marcus taught you how to fight. But you too taught yourselves how to lead, how to heal, how to turn pain into purpose. That's all you." "No," Maya said quietly. "That's us, all of us. We're carrying his legacy forward together." Graduation day arrived in early June, warm and bright. Maya and Nia stood in their caps and gowns, waiting for their names to be called. When Maya walked across the stage to receive her diploma, the crowd erupted in applause louder than for almost anyone else. When Nia followed, the applause was just as strong. Tyler Brennan cheered from his row. Claire Hoffman and the other students they'd trained were on their feet, whistling and clapping. Even Principal Hendricks was smiling broadly. After the ceremony, as families gathered on the lawn for photos, Tyler approached the twins one final time. "I'm heading to community college in the fall," he said. "Criminal justice. I want to be a police officer. Someone who actually protects people, you know?" Maya smiled. "That's great, Tyler. Really, I never would have figured that out if you two hadn't." He trailed off, searching for words. "You could have destroyed me that day. But you showed me there was a better way. So, thank you, for everything." He shook their hands and walked away to join his family. "He really changed," Nia observed. "People can, Maya said. If they want to. Diane called them over for photos. The twins posed with their mother, all three of them beaming. In the background, the oak tree in the school courtyard swayed in the breeze solid, enduring, just like the legacy they were building. That evening, back at their house, the twins returned to their backyard one more time. The training equipment was still there, waiting for Saturday's class. They stood in the center of the mats, the setting sun painting everything gold. You think Dad can see us? Nia asked. I think wherever he is, he knows, Maya replied. We kept his promise. We stayed strong. We protected people. We made a difference. Nia nodded. What happens next? College? College, Maya confirmed. But we're not stopping the training. We can do both. Together? Always. They ran through one final drill, the same sequence their father had taught them years ago, when they were just kids learning to defend themselves. But now, every movement carried weight. Every technique represented a student they'd taught, a person they'd helped, a life they'd changed. When they finished, they stood at attention, facing the oak tree where their father's practice bag still hung. Sir. Maya said, her voice carrying military precision, mission accomplished. Nia saluted. Semper fi, Dad. The sun dipped below the horizon, and the backyard fell into peaceful shadow. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. A car door slammed. Life continued its ordinary rhythm, but for Maya and Nia Bennett, nothing was ordinary anymore. They had taken their father's lessons about strength and discipline, and turned them into something more, a movement, a community, a legacy. They'd learned that true power wasn't about how hard you could hit, but about how many people you could lift up. They'd learned that the best way to honor someone you've lost is to become the person they raised you to be. And they'd learned that sometimes, when the world pushes you down, the strongest thing you can do is stand up not just for yourself, but for everyone who can't stand alone. Marcus Bennett had taught his daughters how to fight. But they'd discovered something even more important. How to turn fighters into protectors, victims into survivors, pain into purpose. As they walked back toward the house, where their mother was waiting with dinner and stories and love, the twins knew one thing with absolute certainty. This was only the beginning. Their father's legacy would live on in every student they taught, in every bully they reformed, in every kid who learned that strength wasn't about violence. It was about standing up when it mattered most. It was about protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. It was about mercy, discipline, and the courage to finish what you started not with fists, but with purpose. The Bennett twins had learned to fight. But more importantly, they'd learned why. And that made all the difference.